Great girlfriends, get ready for the 2018 Doers and Disruptors Conference in New York City. This year's conference is dedicated to igniting great girlfriends, putting your ideas into motion, and moving the needle to get the results that you desire out of life. Join us June 21st and 22nd in New York City for a 2-day event with brilliant doers and disruptors across various industries who started with an idea and blossomed to become change agents, global influencers, and enterprise leaders. At the conference, you'll gather for workshops, panels, connect groups, dance breaks, light bites, and more while getting tips and resources to fulfill your passion in your personal life, your career, your business, motherhood, relationships, and more. Don't miss this opportunity to join forces with women who are on the same mission as you and experience the excitement and impact that only Brandis and I can bring to life. Get your tickets now at thegreatgirlfriendsconference.com. We'll see you there.
This episode of the Great Girlfriends podcast is recorded in Mouth Media Studios in NYC, which is powered by Sennheiser, the future in audio. Check them out at mouthmedianetwork.com.
Welcome to the Great Girlfriends podcast, where we discuss life, love, laughter, and everything in between. We're your hosts. I'm Sybil Amuti.
And I'm Brandis Danielle.
And before we jump into this week's episode of the podcast, make sure you sign up for our newsletter at
thegreatgirlfriends.com.
And don't forget to leave us an amazing iTunes review.
Yes, that is the payment for listening to this podcast.
I love it. 5 stars all the way. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Welcome back to another edition of The Great Girlfriends. We are so excited to have you here with us for this week's episode. What you're about to hear is such an electrifying conversation that we were blessed to have with editor-in-chief, Mikki Taylor. If you haven't Googled her by now, if you're unaware of who she is, Mikki is a popular writer, motivational speaker, and TV personality, and is known as the country's leading authority on beauty and style for women of color. A media veteran of more than 3 decades, Mikki is editor-at-large for Essence Magazine and the president of Satin Doll Productions, a strategic branding, consulting, and communications company. She is author of the critically acclaimed books, Self-Seduction and Commander-in-Chic. I have no doubt that this conversation is going to blow your mind as much as it did for Brandis and I. Now, what you're about to hear is how we sat down with Mikki in the studio and she dove right in. I mean, she did not give us time to take a breath before she just started to blow our minds and overwhelm us with her beautiful spirit and her words of wisdom. So grab your pen and paper. Be prepared to be blessed by this episode. Be prepared to share this with all of your amazing girlfriends. Grab some tissue in case you cry, and make sure you're ready to purchase Mikki's new book, Editor-in-Chic.
Was I always this, the Mikki Taylor that you see now? No. You know, God sends you here fully packaged. Mm-hmm. But to quote Lisa Nichols, CEO of Motivating the Masses, who talks in Editor-in-Chic, you have to learn how to dance with it. And so if you negate the process, if you don't really take the time to get still and know the truth of who you are, you'll always be an imposter. You'll always be an imprint of someone else's identity, if you will. So I had to learn the truth of who I am, and I had to become comfortable with it. Mm-hmm. And that was a process, because I always, coming of age, like a lot of young women, I wanted to fit in. I wanted to be like everybody else. I didn't want to be a standout. But God didn't create me to fit in with everyone else. In fact, God didn't create any of us as a duplicate. Mm-hmm. He thought enough of each of us to make us unique, unprecedented, divine. And so we have to first embrace that. So, yeah, I had, I also suffered shyness. Well into my adult years. And that's, kind of one of my best kept secrets. But I learned to leave my shy self at home because she gets in the way. Ooh. So I just say, baby, I'll tell you all about it when I come back. But I can't take you out because you won't show up ready. Oh. Mm. Yeah. So we all have perfection is such a waste of time. Mm-hmm. So you have to learn how to dance with all of your truths. There are many women that lie inside each of us, so what are you insecure about? Do you behold your fabulousness? Do you understand what that means? Most of all, do you understand what it means to live on purpose? Do you understand enough about yourself to own your life as opposed to asking for permission to thrive in it? So even down to your beauty, do you celebrate your beauty? Or are you still in makeover mode? Are you still trying to look like someone else, keep up with someone else? You know, the grass is not greener on the other side. It's greener in your yard. So yeah, I had to learn all of that, just like many of us. Just like many of us. And it was a process. You know, but it's the valleys that teach you the most.
Yes,
if you dance on the mountaintop all the time, you're really not made of much.
What did the process look like for you, Mikki?
Well, first of all, coming of age, I'm the oldest of three. 6 years I was by myself. So that meant by myself in everything. By myself going to school. By myself, you know, in church, you know, except for my parents. My mother was an entrepreneur on the road a lot. My mother worked with the late American icon that was Sarah Vaughan. So she was gone anywhere from 6 weeks to 6 months at a time. So, you know, didn't have that big sister, didn't have that big brother, you know, going even to private school. One of 3 African-American children in my graduating class. Just loner, if you will. So I had to get to know me. I had to get through those struggles. I had to get through, you know, trying to fit in and no, you don't look like everybody else. And yeah, your dreams are different than everybody else. And your dreams aren't safe with everybody because you're dreaming really high and folks think you're so suchy much because you're dreaming high and you come in. Much. And then you got this mother telling you, yeah, you are all that. Yeah. And you, furthermore, you weren't born a twin, so get used to it. And no, you can't dream too high. First of all, you can't outdream God. That's why I'm teaching you to pray so you'll get with the program. No, I'm not always going to be with you. So here's what you need to know. You need to be able to stand in your own heels and not wobble. I don't want you out there playing dress up. I don't want you hallucinating. So yeah, I had to get used to it. Bedside talks, oh my gosh.
Wow, your mother sounded like she was
she was fierce. She was so fierce. My mother was so fierce, my gosh. I remember, and this is an everyday story, but this is how much she was in my corner. I remember some girls followed me home from school one day and they were going to jump me. And my mother, I came in to tell my mother, and she came out, she put her jeans on, and I'm like, oh my God, where are you going? Where are you going? I just told you, I'm not trying to fight anybody. And she comes out and she says, now she'll fight you, but there's not going to be any jumping.
Oh.
Yeah.
Mama.
Yeah. So it's like,
yes, Mama. Yes.
Yeah. So it's like, no, get over yourself. This is who you are, and you need to understand. You need to walk in all your strength, all your fearlessness, and no.
I mean, and look, your mom didn't say, Mikki, are you going to fight? Your mother came outside and said,
she'll fight you. But there'll be no jumping because she got back up and was here.
And they became best friends.
Wow.
Yeah. So, you know, so the underlying lesson was have the courage to be yourself.
Yes.
And have sense enough to know who you are. You know, long before the terminology was invented, my mother was doing a SWOT analysis in our house on me, my brother, my sister. It's like, know your strengths, your weaknesses, your threats, your opportunities. Be clear about who you are. Yeah.
So you were raised in the idea that your womanhood, that your femininity and strength were inside of you.
All along.
And that it was just a matter of you introducing it outwardly.
That's right.
Wow.
Right. Exactly.
Wow.
Do you feel like we as women still carry like all those things from when we were little girls? Like, do we still carry the fear of someone jumping us into womanhood?
Oh, absolutely. And whatever way it manifests itself, whether it's on the job and somebody's going to outshine us or somebody's going to take our place or in love that, you know, this one's going to get the guy and I'm not. I always say faith is nothing, first of all, if it's not defining your life. So faith is like the principle of reserved seating. You understand how to show up. You know your name. And reserved seating, whatever has your name on it, well, God operates the same way. No one else can show up and claim it. But you can miss it if you don't show up.
Oh, my goodness.
If you don't walk in your
Absolutely.
truth. So someone else, they really can't take anything from you. You have to give it away.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you have to give it away.
Wow. I just, me and Sybil both are right now like on the floor, but I can't be on the floor because we have a podcast. Yes. So Mikki, so one of your processes was that you grew up as an only child, because I'm telling you, we look at Mikki Taylor and we're like, she didn't go through anything.
Oh my God.
She's always had it figured out. Yeah. And I remember even speaking to you about motherhood, because even looking at you and seeing what you've been able to accomplish, I'm just like, well, how did you accomplish all of that at such a high level and still do motherhood?
Yes. Mothers, we're all waiting. As you were. We need to know.
My gosh, my children, my husband, these are my answered prayers.
And marriage.
And marriage.
Let's not forget.
Yes.
So these are my answered prayers. And when you ask God for something, you have to be clear about the intention and what you're going to do with it. The Bible says don't ask amiss. So it's not like, oh, I got 3 children and a husband, that looks good on my resume. No, I didn't want this in theory only. So, I wanted these babies. I wanted this husband. I waited for him. I prayed for him. I didn't date anybody else. I learned how to be a wife, because the Bible said, he that findeth a wife, not a woman, findeth a good thing. So when he married me, he was going to have a wife in his house, not a woman.
Yes.
And there's a difference. And so, so motherhood, critically important to me. So before I'm going off to the shows in Europe, if I'm pureeing their baby food when they're little and freezing it and nursing them and had the crib in my office and all of that. Yeah. Because because family comes first. Family is my first priority. And it doesn't put my brain on shutdown because I'm a mother. It doesn't compromise what I have to say and my purpose. But yeah, critically important. Non-negotiable.
Yeah.
Non-negotiable that I'm going to be the best mother I can be.
Because I think sometimes we as women, we think that either it's one or the other.
No.
Like either we're walking in our purpose and we're like, living out our dreams, or we're moms and wives. There's not a lot of example to see them both being done simultaneously well.
Well, keyword.
What do you want from it? What do you want from it? And again, that's about writing your own script and not having one handed to you or judging it by somebody else's means. It's what do you want from it? Your life. Because life is not a dress rehearsal. You don't get to come back and try this another way. So what do you want? What does good motherhood look like to you? What does... it's not about, I think the real choice is women think they have to say, well, can I have it all or not? No, it's about having what matters. And you get to determine that. So children were important to me. My husband, that was important to me. My gift goes with me wherever I go. Yes. See, once you understand that, your purpose, your divine assignment, it really doesn't matter whose door you walk in every day to execute it. It doesn't matter if someone else's name is on the banner to the door, or it could be yours. But your gift goes with you wherever you go. So you don't have to choose that. You don't have to choose that.
One thing we find ourselves doing as women, and I'll say wives and moms as well, is sometimes feeling apologetic or feeling guilty for wanting one thing more than the other at a certain season. Maybe I want to do more with my career, which might require less time here. Maybe I want to be present with my kids, which means something else will get less time. Prioritization. You're very unapologetic.
Yeah.
And super intentional.
You got to see Mikki's face.
Which means the world has to embrace everything that you've set the stage for. Everyone has to play according to their part. Have you always been unapologetic? Was it a point of conviction where you realized I don't have to apologize for wanting this right now and asking for people to stand in their place? Or how was it that this became, I see it, it's so clear.
when I put my foot on my shy self, and became the grown woman.
Okay.
Yeah, no, unapologetic. Unapologetic. So these are my choices. I don't care if the whole world is going left. If I'm going right, you'll find me over there. You'll find me over there. And if you're looking for me, that's where you'll find me. So, it's like even in terms of prioritization, I don't put 20 things on the list if I can only do 10 well.
Oh, that's so good.
I learned how to lovingly say no.
Yes.
And know that it's a complete sentence. If you're waiting for me to add to it, there's going to be a gasp in the air. There's going to be a gap in time until you move on because I'm done. No. No means no.
Yes.
Yeah. Clear about that. No apologies.
Wow. Well, let's take a commercial break and jump right back in. Great girlfriends, do you have your ticket to the 2018 Doers and Disruptors Conference? If not, what are you waiting for? Join us in New York for a 2-day event filled with brilliant doers and disruptors across various industries who started with an idea and blossomed to become great change agents. We can't wait to join with you for workshops, panels, connect groups, dance breaks, light bites, and more, while giving you tips and resources to fulfill your passion in your personal lives, careers, businesses, motherhood, and relationships. Log on to thegreatgirlfriendsconference.com and get a ticket for yourself and your greatest girlfriends. We'll see you there. And this other thing I'd like to know, what were some of the fears that you've had to overcome as you step into the new titles that you've taken on? You are a woman, then you become wife, you become mom, you become an editor and beauty influencer, author. I mean, you're just so many amazing.
Speaker.
You're excellent.
Producer.
Yes, producer. I mean, just a curator and a storyteller and just all of these things so beautifully woven. I just want to know, what were the fears that were trying to tell you, Mikki, girl, please, Mikki, hey?
That I would keep getting in the way. And I had to learn how to move me out of the way so that God could have his place. Yeah, because God wants me to do all things well, and he's empowered me to do those things. And not only that, he said that he would do exceeding and abundantly above all that I could think or ask. So I had to stop seeing my possibilities through my human lens and see it through a divine lens. Yeah, so if I could just do my part and prepare myself to show up ready, that's good. That it's like that's all the validation you really need. It doesn't matter what anyone else thinks. Listen, if you start to think about what other people think, you'll be always chauffeuring somebody else's plan for your life, and you'll miss your journey. You're not
chauffeuring someone else.
Yes.
I know, she just dropped these things.
What are we supposed to do with that, Mikki? Just take it.
I heard it. Chauffeuring someone else's.
Because isn't that what we do when we go through college and we graduate and our parents tell us to go this way, and we do it because we got the student loans and we got to figure out the next 40 years of our life when we're 21. And we think that all of that matters at that moment. Right. So we go plug into a company and then we realize at 30-something, what happened? And we hear this story. I'm telling you.
We're in New York
You know
City.
what you're hearing right now, though? That fire alarm, that's what that should do in your life. Instead of saying what happened, that's what you should hear. And a lot of times we've learned to dull down the alarm. Or sometimes we'll put that on the back. Like, I'm really not hearing that. I'm gonna listen with this ear because I'm gonna shut that one down. But the alarm is ringing. It's been ringing a long time. It's just that you've learned how to ignore it. But again, I can't say it enough. Life is not a dress rehearsal.
Yes.
So if you ignore today, you will not get it back.
That's right. Oh, that's so good.
I think the thing we're so afraid of, Mikki, is the unknown. And sometimes it's easier to chauffeur someone else's dream than to walk into the unknown. Because the unknown can, it can feel, it can bring up some anxiety. It can bring up some fears because you're really not sure. And here's the funny thing, about my own life. For a long time, my unknown was the good, the great, right? And it was like being so fearful of the great because not knowing what that would feel like or, how would I respond to that? How would other people respond to that? All of that have come into play. And, you know, even now as I'm kind of walking into this new season of just on a roller coaster with my hands up, as I was telling some, you know, it's still not comfortable.
Yeah.
And I think that's the challenge that, you know, it's exciting, but it's not comfortable.
Yeah.
And I think that's the challenge a lot of women are having. Look, I already know you got something to say.
Oh, it's coming. I'm ready too.
That's the challenge a lot of women have. They're like, you know, it's easy for me to chauffeur someone else's dream. At least I know what that dream is. It's harder for me to walk into this place where I don't know what's going to happen or what's going to show up for me there.
And that's common with our great girlfriends. We hear that so often, that people want the safety and security of having a place in the world and fitting somewhere, because that unknown feels, I know, you should see Mikki's face. If you all could see Mikki's face, she doesn't even understand it. She's like, what? Why would you normalize all of the greatness?
Ready. I know. And look, I'm just going to sit back in my chair.
But even in your magazine years, was that something that came up with women, especially with beauty? I just want to feel like I fit in the beauty realm. I want to fit, and people want to feel like they belong. And it did never, not saying for you as your life, but did you ever hear that with women? You know, it's a place of suffering. We hear all the time. They just want security somewhere where they can belong and maybe feel special on birthdays and 4th of July, I guess. But deep inside, they know better.
Wow.
But they're scared. They're so afraid of being the one to kind of chart new territory.
You know, that's why I pinned editor-in-chief, because I want us to lead fearless and inspired lives. And I want us to see the magnificent truth of who we are. And so what that requires is that you really have to get to know yourself. We make it a point to know companies. We make it a point to know the owner's manual for our cars. We make it a point to know everything else. We read labels on food and all of that, but we don't get to know ourselves. So the part of the biggest fear of the unknown is not knowing who you are and what you bring to the table, not beholding your beauty. Oh, how many times did we pass the woman in the mirror? Oh, we know how to line her lips in red, but do we know the thoughts of her heart? Do we talk all the time about the eyes are the window to the soul, but we don't look in our own. So you really do have to get still and understand, who am I? What have I come to do? What do I want for this from this magnificent journey called life? How am I filling in the pieces? Or am I just going along to get along? Not only that, my creator is the constant. He does not change. Seasons in my life will change, but he does not change. And what he has given me does not change. It only has the capacity to grow and get better. But if you don't see it that way, I love how the Old Testament says, the thing that I fear has come upon me. So you can keep on fearing and keep on showing up short, or thinking that you're showing up short, and that's what you're going to manifest. And that's what you're going to draw to you.
Absolutely.
There's no question about that. That's the law of the universe. Look. So how do you shift your thinking? You know, in the book, I give us a set. Everybody should have a set of terms that they choose. Today is going to be, my mantra today is, I got this. My mantra today is determined. My mantra is so till after a while, you don't have to program yourself.
Absolutely.
It's the thought pattern that you move with and groove with all the time.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what I'm hearing Mikki say so clearly, girlfriends, is about the work. And there's a piece of work that we tend to neglect. A lot of times we want to mask. And maybe we've had issues that we've gone through. We've had circumstances. We've had trauma, domestic, or we've had rape, or we had neglect in our childhood, or we just have rejection. And we want to mask it and keep moving. But we can't ever escape it. We actually have to do the work.
You have to do the work. You have to do the work. You have to understand you, all of you. It's the sum, if you will, even of your wins and losses that contribute to who you are. That's part of what makes you so compelling. Because you have a story to tell. You have a journey that you're living, that you have lived every single day. And guess what? You're still here, and you ought to be thriving. Because nothing and no one had the capacity to take you out. Nothing and no one had the capacity to take your gift away. Nothing and no one had the capacity to cancel your beauty.
Oh, that's so
And if you don't see it, it's because you pull the shade. You pull the shade.
We need this moment right
We
here.
just need this moment. We just need this moment.
Okay, Mikki, where can they find you on social?
So we can continue the conversation certainly on Instagram and Twitter at I am Mikki Taylor, on Facebook at Mikki Taylor, and certainly on LinkedIn at I am Mikki Taylor.
And where can they find the book? Where do you want them to buy the book? Because some authors have preferences on where they want them to go buy the book.
So you can buy the book. I'm hoping you all go to Amazon.com and create a tsunami by pre-ordering your copy today.
Yes, absolutely. And when you pre-order your copy, go and write a review.
Absolutely.
Please write a review.
those reviews.
Of the book.
And I'm also hoping you'll catch up with me and we can continue the conversation and really have fellowship. I don't believe in networking. Networking is where women exchange cards and you go home and you forget who you met and why. But when you fellowship, you exchange numbers.
Yes.
And you intend to contribute to one another in some way. So I hope you'll network, you'll rather fellowship with me on the journey. In fact, kicking off May 1st, which is my launch day, I'll be at Barnes & Noble on 86th Street. I'll be having the conversation with Soledad O'Brien. And every market, I'll be having the conversation with an empowered woman, much like yourself. And I hope you'll join me.
Oh, I love that.
Awesome.
I love it.
Thank you so much.
My heart is so full. We still have Kamara in the studio with us. And she is
Just like, I'm coming home with you.
My heart is so full.
Oh,
thank you so much
so enjoyed sitting
for
here
just
with you
sharing.
all.
And
Thank you.
I literally feel like I've just been sitting at your feet.
Yes.
Oh my God.
So
And she's just been rubbing
I
our
do.
heads and just
I do like you were braiding my hair while you were talking. You know, like
That's a good
that's
thing.
how it's felt.
That's fellowship.
We could not end this podcast without thanking our amazing husbands.
yes, thank you, Kwaku.
And thank you so much, Rich Daniel.
And our beautiful children, thank you, Sam and Dylan.
And thank you, Miss Sky Daniel.
And thank you to all of you great girlfriends for trusting us as your go-to source for everything life, love, and laughter.
You can check us out on our social, on Instagram,
The Great Girlfriends,
on Twitter,
_great GFS,
and on Facebook.
The Great Girlfriends.
And please make sure that you join our Facebook group, which is over 16,000 women strong.
Absolutely. And make sure you listen every single Wednesday on iTunes, Spotify, Podcast Bean, Podcast Republic, Google Play, and every other podcasting service.
Absolutely.
Be sure to post your questions, share with your friends, keep listening, and keep being a great girlfriend. I'm Sybil.
And I'm Brandon.
And we're signing off.
Peace.
Peace.